Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and I would remind all of you out there who have sweethearts, if you've not done something yet for your sweetheart, please make sure that you get that done here in the next week to 10 days, so we can all have a great Valentine's Day. I'm Renee Payne, the CEO here at the Hendersonville Area Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to our February luncheon. We have a lot of information to come forward today, and we're thrilled about Jennifer Brown being here from the school system. But before we get to that, I wanted to let you know that Representative Terry Lynn Weaver and Representative Weaver, where are you? Would you please stand up? Okay. Oh, that's okay. You don't have to say anything. I'm going to say it for you. Just move your lips, and we'll be lip syncing like Beyonce. Don't worry. Representative Weaver, yeah, well, okay. I can't do the dance, but that's all right. She has been kind enough to bring us several blue books from the state of Tennessee, the 2011-12 versions. And so anybody here who would like to have one of those, they're right over here on the table on your way out. And I think if she has a few minutes after the luncheon, she's even willing to stay and autograph those for you. And then let me ask this question. Do we have any birthdays in the house? Anybody with a birthday today? Goodness, nobody has a birthday. Okay, well then I'm just going to give one of these away to somebody, and I'll probably just do that in a random thing. This is a fact book for the state of Tennessee. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Charles Alexander, who is the director of the Tennessee Small Business Development Center at Ball State Community College. That's a mouthful. To come and give our invocation and pledge. Thank you, Charles.
Yes, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you today just so very thankful that you've given us an opportunity to all come and network together and to be a chance to listen to each other and help each other grow in you and to be able to spread your love. God, we also ask you to forgive us where we fall short of not telling others about you and not listening more and praying more and spending time with you and spending time in worship. God, we ask you to watch over others today, watch over those who are recently gone through the storm cycle, being able to rebuild and get their lives back together. And we ask you to help us to know how to help them better, to be a better example for you. God, we ask you to bless us all today, bless this food to nourish our body. In your name we pray. Amen. Taste the flag.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I appreciate that very much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the chair of the Hendersonville Area Chamber of Commerce, Lynn Silverman, who is the owner of the Huntington Learning Centers, and he's going to start our program today. Let's all give him a welcome.
Yeah, if you start up with Beyonce music, I'll sing something. Now, actually, did you see the press conference she did afterwards? I thought she knocked that out of the park. Basically, she stood up. No one was expecting this, and she belted out the best rendition of Star Spangled Banner I think I've ever heard. You could hear crickets in the audience, and when she was done, she just turned to everybody and said, "Any questions?" I thought that was perfect. She really handled that well. Of course, she knocked the power out of the Super Bowl. Okay, so today I'd like to start out by recognizing our elected officials. Chamber, of course, is a nonpartisan organization, and I do realize I started last time on my right. This time I start on my left. So if we could start here and ask our elected officials to stand and introduce themselves. Paul, why don't you start? I know your mouth's full. I don't want to put you on the pressure.
I apologize. Paul Goode, Ward 3, Alderman here in Hendersonville, as well as the County Commissioner, 10th District here in Hendersonville.
Sumner County School Board.
Scott Foster, I'm your mayor.
thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Oh, yeah.
I'm looking for Sumner County Register of Deeds.
Michael Korean, I'm representing Representative Diane Black. It's just 2 days in the area and you do your job. So let me know.
Welcome. Thank you all for coming. I'd also like to introduce to you some of the new members of the Chamber, starting with 360 Connect, Sheila Woodall, Ace Exterminating, Tommy Holt, Blue Skies Realty, LLC, Cheryl Brett, Comfort Group, Inc., Ryan Moore, CompuPay, Ashley Bearden, Cortac, Mike Letterman, I Do Weddings, Lynn Porter, Kimbrough Services, Inc., Leslie Garrett Stevens, TSI Construction and Roofing, Jeannie Hanna, and Fox 17, Greg Carr. So let's give everyone a round of applause. And also, we're listed on our website. And also, has anyone downloaded the new app for your iPhone or Android device? If you haven't, you need to. It's free of charge. It's a great way to access the member directory and to do business with each other, which is one of the purposes of the Chamber. So I encourage you to do that.
How do we get that at?
Well, you can go to the iTunes App Store if you have your iPhone, or you can go to Google Play Store if it's the Android device. Look up the Hendersonville Area Chamber of Commerce, download free of charge. 5 seconds later, you can be doing business with someone here in Hendersonville. So I would strongly encourage that. Thanks. Okay, also, I have been asked to make an announcement about the Educate and Grow Scholarship. Just a quick show of hands. Is everyone familiar, or who is familiar with the Educate and Grow Scholarship? Okay. All right. Well, that's more than we did last year, so this is good. Quick kind of 101 on the program. The Educate and Grow Scholarship is offered here in Sumner County. It's a program that was started through a partnership with Compass and our county commission. Monies were set aside to provide scholarships for students who qualified as Tennessee scholars, meaning they take more rigorous courses in high school. They do 80 hours of community service. They're there in school 95% of the time. No out-of-school suspensions and things like that. If they qualify as a Tennessee scholar in Sumner County, they will get a scholarship called the Educate and Grow Scholarship, which is a last dollar scholarship to Ball State Community College, where they will go for free for the first 2 years. So it's a fantastic program. We encourage our students here in Sumner County to participate. And Deborah Magner, who's the executive director of Compass, wanted me to announce that the application deadline is coming up rapidly. It's March 1st. Okay, so if you need more information, if you've got a student who'd like to apply, go to our website at sumnercompass.org, and the application is there. They can also check in with a guidance counselor in the high school. Anyone out there at the time. Did I miss anything there?
You got it.
Okay. Very much encourage you to do it. It's a great program. And something I think Sumner County should be very proud of. Okay, with that, I would like to turn it over to Lisa Byers, who is our chair-elect. She's the owner of Goddard School here in Hendersonville, and she is going to introduce our speakers. Lisa.
Good afternoon. I have the pleasure of introducing our luncheon speaker today, Mrs. Jennifer Brown. She serves as Sumner County Schools Assistant Director for Instruction. Jennifer has a passion and fervor for children, and she believes that helping children learn is her calling. She graduated with an associate degree in architectural engineering in 1988, but it was that calling to teach and help children learn that called her back to education. She completed a degree in education in 1995 and began teaching 7th grade English. Do you all remember 7th grade English? Yeah. She was really good at it because she was actually named Teacher of the Year by her school. In 2000, she completed a Master's of Education degree and accepted a position in school administration. She served on many boards during her teaching and administration tenure, including serving as president of the North Central Reading Association, the Tennessee Department of Education State Textbook Adoption Committee. She was co-chairman of the SACS Accreditation for Sumner County. Also served on the Tennessee Department of Education Curriculum Committee and many on grading-based teaching and learning. She's also responsible for bringing quantum learning to Sumner County. And in 2001, Dr. Del Phillips hired Jennifer to serve as his Assistant Director of Instruction. She is currently in the last few months of the doctorate program, in addition to her full-time. She also has been married to Lyndon for 24 years. She's been a Sumner County resident for 23 years, married to Lyndon, and she has one daughter, Hannah, who is currently in her second year at Stanford University. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Jennifer Brown.
Well, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I don't know where Brenda went, but thank you, Brenda. We've been talking about this for months, I guess, maybe even a year. So I'm really tickled about being here and get to share with you today. I will tell you, I have a new clicker, and if anybody speaks quite a bit, you know that's a little, I'm not used to yet, so just be the guinea pig and we'll try it out. So hopefully that will be successful. One of the first things we want to talk about today is, and I know it's on everyone's mind, is where are we heading in our school system? But before we do that, we have to talk about where we are and where we've been. And so I want to talk a little bit today about our recent accountability results. And so you're going to hear results on about 4 different levels. You're going to hear results, we're going to talk about kids being proficient in advance. We're going to talk about growth, we're going to talk about achievement, and we're going to talk about the state's new accountability. So let's jump right in. We're going to look at the state report card for Sumner County. If you'll notice right away, right there, well, let's start at the bottom. We have almost 28,000 kids. Of those children, we have almost 600 EL students. Those are students that come to us speaking little to no English. We have our economically disadvantaged students, which is right under 40%. And if you'll notice with our students with disabilities, we're at 17.7%. We do an absolutely wonderful job educating students with disabilities. In fact, it's almost a weekly basis when someone moves into our system that says, they're here because of what we do for students with disabilities. But we're going to come back to that percentage in just a minute when we talk more about our growth. I don't know if you noticed, but this was kind of startling to me this year when I realized that there are 42 languages spoken in Sumner County. Besides all the languages listed to the right, there are 11 more that are spoken by at least one student. We have 894 students, main language is Spanish, 53 Arabic, and you can read on down to the list. That's quite interesting, I think, for those of you who've been in Sumner County very long. The state's new accountability system, there's much said about that in the papers this past fall. It's kind of died down a little bit, but we'll readdress those as we go over. But the state has said that we want growth for all students every year. And we want to close those achievement gaps by ensuring faster growth for the students who are far behind. And we'll talk a lot about subgroups. We'll talk a bit more about that. But what that means is, as we move the whole group further and grow all students, that means the gap can widen. They don't want that to happen. So it's almost like hitting a moving target as you grow all students. Sometimes that gap can widen. The two objectives for the new state accountability system is looking at achievement and gap closures. We just talked about that. Both are weighted equally. And on the district level, districts can be identified as exemplary, intermediate, and needs improvement. And schools can be reward schools, focus schools, or priority schools. Now, I will tell you, those schools that fall between the reward and focus schools, they're not given a title. So not all schools are given a title. You're either, and we'll talk about why that is in just a second. The way you become a reward or focus school is by meeting or not meeting targets. And targets are set by the state. Our state applied for a waiver for No Child Left Behind, which we applaud all their efforts in doing so. But in order to keep up with that waiver, they have to meet certain targets. So they set targets, which in turn filters down to districts, and they say for us to meet our target, here are the targets the districts need to make, and then those targets are filtered on down to our schools. So it really is a top-down approach to making sure that we move Tennessee in the direction it needs to go. We already talked about how districts can be measured: exemplary, intermediate, needs improvement. Exemplary, you reach the majority of your gap closures, the majority of your achievement gaps without going backward. That going backward is very important. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute too. Then there's intermediate and needs improvement. improvement. Sumner County fell into the intermediate district this past year. We barely missed exemplary, and I'll show you why in a moment. Reward schools. Reward schools are in the top 10% of the state based on absolute growth, performance, and value added. So they can be in the top 10% in two different ways. Either growing students from where they are or for their achievement. Focus schools, the bottom 10% with the largest achievement gaps. That means in those subgroups, we're not performing as well as we should in big groups, and then priority schools. Sumner County Schools had 3 reward schools this year, and we're so excited about that. Gene Brown Elementary was in the top 10% of the state for growth. So they made big achievements with their students. Bethpage Elementary was for achievement. Merle High was for both. Now here's the most exciting part for me. We got our scores, we got what is called cut scores in early on, and we did the math. We really felt like there was no doubt we were an exemplary district. When we looked at our schools, we thought that we had 27 exemplary schools. When cut scores were taken back to the state and reevaluated, they dumped some students out. The reason being, special education students have 3 options for assessment. They can take the TCAP, like all other students. They can take a TCAP alternative, we call it a TCAP alt, or they can be assessed by portfolio. This year, the state decided if more than 2% of your population took the TCAP alt, or the portfolio assessment, anybody over that 2% would be dumped automatically into below basic. And there are 4 categories. We'll talk again in a second. There's below basic, basic, proficient, and advanced. So what happened in Sumner County, again, we talked about that high percentage of special ed students, and we have been told for years that we were testing more people that need to be tested. Obviously, we were special ed services for a reason. We felt like we were testing them as to their ability. But anybody over that 2%, whether they score proficient or advanced, and we had a lot score proficient advanced on that TCAP alt, all advanced in our portfolio assessments were dumped into below basic. So we had these 3 schools, knew we had to have more. So about 2 weeks after it came out, the commissioner sent letters to all of our principals and to Dr. Phillips and to myself. We had 24 schools that were near misses. They were near misses because of the students with disability. And we're going to talk about, we had 1 focus school, and that's what affected them. But our near misses, we had 12 elementary, we had 8 middle, and 4 high school. And we had 2 of those that were near misses because of economically disadvantaged students, but the rest of them were our special ed students. We have 3 Blue Ribbon schools now. Merle High Magnet was recently named a Blue Ribbon school. Bethpage Elementary and Indian Lake Elementary are Blue Ribbon schools. We do have 1 focus school. It's North Sumner Elementary. And remember, I shared with you about the 2%. North Sumner is one of our smaller elementary schools. And one of the things our state, and it wasn't just us, directors from all across the state were sending questions to the commissioner. He was very kind to meet with a group of directors, and they said this is a problem, and they said we'll spread it out among schools, so among 12 schools. But North Sumner Elementary, we thought should have been one of those reward schools. And when we got to digging, in a school with 203 students, 12 of Sumner County students that were dumped back into that below basic. And again, this is an example where all 12 were advanced. Not just proficient, they're advanced. So they were automatically bumped into the below basic, 12 students, and so that presented a large gap, and they were a focus school. Now, that's not to make excuses. That's not to say that we're not on it, because we are, and we're going to do what's right by kids no matter what. And so we've got a plan in place. We met with every principal and put something into place so that we can remedy that as we move forward. Our state report card, this is the first slide that I pull up because I want to see, are we improving and are we moving where we need to be? And you'll notice there are lots of blue circles. I knew it would be hard for you all to see, so we circled these so you would see. There are only 2 places where we declined. One is a graduation rate, and that's because we had 1 high school that went backward on the graduation rate. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And then if you look at the far right-hand corner, students with disabilities declined, and that feeds right back into what we've been talking about. But when we pull this up and look at this is very promising to us because it tells us we're improving across the board, and we're excited about that. On the report card, we're going to talk about achievement. For those of you who are not used to looking at the state report card or not educators, achievement measures a student's performance at a single point in time. It can refer to a student's demographics, because what we know, if they come to school ready to learn, they already have kindergarten readiness, it's much easier, their achievement's higher. It compares students' performance to a standard, and it's also critical to post-secondary opportunities. Sumner County State Report Card this past year, we improved by 1 letter grade in 2 of the 4 subject areas, and we missed an A in math by 1 point. If it had a 55 instead of a 54 there, we would have straight A's. So we're really excited about that movement. If you can see, we went 52, 52, 54. So again, we're shooting for straight A's next year in achievement. If you look at the TCAP writing, straight A's, Sumner County's always been strong in their writing program. The high school level, achievements measured on the 3-year average ACT, and then the post-year. And the one that's most interesting to me is down here where we're at 20.5, so we went from 20.1 to 20.5 in our ACT score last year. Value added measures a student's progress between 2 points in time. It really is about how much a student grows. We talk about achievement, we talk more about a student and how they achieve. Value added really is a reflection of our educators and our teachers and what happens in those classrooms. It takes a student's performance at the end of 3rd grade and measures it at the end of 4th grade. So we see how much they've grown in that year. So that really tells us a lot about what's going on in our classrooms, what's happening with instruction. Is instruction aligned to the task? Various things like that. It's not related to student demographics, because what we know is all students can learn. We can move all students. And it compares students' performance to their own prior performance. It too is very critical to a student's future success. So Sumner County's report card for last year value added. We jumped 4 letter grades, which is exciting. We're not where we need to be, and we know that. We've got a lot of work to do. But we improved by at least 1 letter grade in 3 subject areas, with math improving by 2 points. And we missed a C by 1/10. Now that'll make you sick. 1/10 of a point in reading language arts. Value added, I show this and I know it's hard for you all to see, but I do want you, even though we have some D's on there we're working on improving, we made great gains. 4th grade, for instance, math went from a negative 4.1 2 years ago to a positive 4.5. Same thing for 8th grade, negative 4.5 2 years ago to a positive 6.6 in growth. And the story is the same for social studies and science, so we're making big gains there. Our high school, they look at value added. Are our students performing as projected? They take what they did in elementary and middle school on their TCAP and their former assessment, the summative assessment, to see if they're performing were projected. And if you notice, we were at or above all those projections in high school with our end of course. Here's what I want to show you the value added, because we had, I know it's long, I've seen this, several people seen it multiple times. There's about 20 more slides just on value added. But the big picture is here. We really want all green. Dark green is great. Light green, we're moving kids. We're moving on, giving them a year's growth. Dark green is what we want. If you'll notice, that top row is red. That top row is 2010 scores. So when we saw those letter grades a while ago, that was 3-year averages. So that's all 3 of those years averaged in there. And you'll see the bottom row. So on the bottom row, 3-year average, we have a green, 2 reds, and a green. When that 2010 year drops off next year, what do you think is going to happen to that bottom row? All green. That's what we're shooting on. And if not, I'm in trouble. Because that's what I'm in charge of, right? So I'm going to be having to find some reasons why that didn't happen. So what we anticipate happening and what we're planning, we're banking on, as 2010 rolls off, we will have all green. And when we do, our value added will see even a bigger jump in those value added scores. Graduation rates, everyone's always wanting to know about graduation rates. We had 2 schools that did not make their targets set by the state. One was White House High School. We had a student move. There were 3 students. 2 were tracked down early on that had moved and left the system, and another one moved to us from Robertson County, then to Metro, then back to us, and then to Robertson County. By the time the scores were calculated, we found it, sent it to the state, but the state said, the calculations done, it's too late. So we would have been there, again, no excuses. I've implemented some things to make sure that the paperwork and everything, that we're staying in touch with the state and communicating best that we can. And then E.B. Wilson, for those of you who know about E.B. Wilson, is set up to take students who are struggling to graduate or may not graduate. So we expect that, and across the state, those alternative schools are like that. But I want you to notice the Sumner County goal. The goal was 88.8, and we made a 91.2% on graduation rate. So we're equal with that. We talk a lot about return on investments. This is a very important slide if you're a parent. Our students, and this was totaled in May, so we know that the total went up in June and August because kids drop out, they don't go to the school that they had planned on, which opens up more scholarship opportunities for our kiddos. But last year, Sumner County students earned $29,377,000 in scholarships. It's a return on investment. So when we talk about everything our school needs and resources and personnel, we go back to this. This is life change. What we're talking about here is life change because scholarships can make a difference. In a nutshell, and I say in a nutshell and I laugh and say there's 3 slides in a nutshell. I don't think that's fair, but Lewis said I could do that. But in a nutshell, academic achievement improved by 1 letter grade in 2 of the 4 subject areas, reading and science. We missed an A in math by 1 point, which would have given us all A's in achievement. In grades 3 through 5, the percentage of students scoring proficient advanced increased in all 4 subject areas. That's our elementary schools. And if you'll notice again, 2010 to 2012, the difference there in math, 15.6% more students scored proficient advanced this past year than 2 years ago. And then jump down there to science. From 2 years ago, almost 10% more students scored proficient advanced. So we're really tickled about that. In grades 6 through 8, our middle school, the percentage of students scoring proficient advanced increased again in all 4 subject areas. Math, we went from 28.2% to 47.1%, so that's a jump of 18.9%. Students scoring proficient advanced, more students scoring proficient advanced. And science, we had 14.8% more students scoring proficient advanced. And again, we've got a lot of work to do, we realize that. But we have districts calling us wanting to know, what are you doing in math? What are you doing in science? How are you getting those bigger gains? So again, we're blessed to have those growth. In grades 9 through 12, the percentage of students scoring proficient advanced again increased. If you'll look at Algebra 1, 12% more students score proficient advanced. Value added, we improved by at least 1 letter grade in 3 subject areas, with math improving by 2 letter grades. And again, we missed that C by 1/10 of a point in reading language arts, which would have bumped us up even higher. Our value-added status was above or predicted in the course assessment. Attendance, we're holding steady at 95.9 for K-8, 94.5. And you might say, well, why do we talk about that? Well, because our students like to come to school. School's enjoyable for them. They want to be there. It's safe. Parents don't feel bad about sending their students to school, making sure they make sure that they're there. Our probation rate is 98.7, and again, our graduation rate is 91.2. So moving forward, what are we doing to move forward? We feel like we have a really strong district improvement plan. We had, back in August, we held data testing meetings with every principal. They came in, actually set with my group, my team, the coordinators were there, EL coordinator was there, title, if they were title school coordinator, and we went through every piece of data you could imagine. If I brought my notebooks in, they would stack high up on that table, and some of our board members have seen them. But so we went through every piece of data for our principals. Then we held data training for our principals. We did this on 2 different occasions, where we asked our principals to come in. They sat behind the computers themselves, pulled up the data. We went through, what do you look for? How are you using this? And then November 6th, every teacher participated in data trainings of their principal. People ask me a lot of, well, are you concerned about getting caught up in the data? What are, you're just talking about numbers. The reason we talk about numbers is because numbers represent students, and numbers represent students' ability. And if we don't look at that, we don't know where we are or how we're going to get to where we need to be, right? And it's very important because the student's ability, how they score on these tests, really, it's a precursor to what happens later in life. We worked with our principals to identify those students furthest behind, and we set intervention programs in place. We looked at K-12 assessments. I will tell you, I was disheartened when I took this job to find out that at our high school level, there were no formative assessments. Nothing done, nothing purchased off the shelf. And so we have worked this year, funding is kind of tight, so we worked this year to develop those in teacher teams and principal teams. So we have some formative assessments. And for those of you, again, not educators, we want to know the score throughout the whole ballgame. Formative assessments allow us to do that. We test first quarter several times, and we mandate that from the district office so we know where we are. It would be kind of like playing a ball game, not knowing the score to the end of the game, and that's what happens if you just give the TCAP at the end of the school year and get scores back. So we test along the year to see where we are, where do kids need help, what do we need to focus on. We were able to purchase new reading and literature textbooks, and then we implemented a program with Dollar General's help this past year called Rounding Third. For any students who were not involved in any intervention programs this year, they were not ready for 4th grade, we were able to put together a summer program. And again, it's all because of our partnership with Dollar General that we were able to do that. ACT prep courses in all buildings, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Credit recovery courses, virtual courses, and of course training. We brought all of our high school people in. They've had one round. They're getting ready to start their second round of end of course training. College and career emphasis, focus strands, and the transition to Common Core. We'll talk a little bit more. I hope Brenda has me back if I don't put everybody to sleep today. But maybe the next year I can come back and talk about just Common Core, because there's a lot that we can talk about with Common Core. But why move to Common Core? The U.S. Department of Labor estimates that 9% of the 21st century skilled workforce jobs will require some type of secondary education. These Common Core standards are based on the college and career readiness standards. They're rigorous learning benchmarks. They compare us to what other countries are doing. And again, we want to be globally competitive. Today, 46 states have adopted Common Core standards. The reason Tennessee moved to that is because Tennessee took a look and we're not pleased when they found only 15% of their students graduated college-ready level. We want to be able to collaborate and learn across state lines so that we can learn from what other states are doing. This will allow us to do that. Common Core requires a deeper engagement with smaller number of standards. You talk to your teachers, our teachers will tell you that. 3rd grade math, the standards that 3rd grade teachers are going to focus on is less than a third of what they have now. So it makes sense. The fewer standards you have to focus on, the deeper you can go with that learning, the more time you have to ensure students really get it and understand it. Our implementation timeline for the state, grades K through 2, we are fully implementing K through 2. EL 11, 12, grades 3 through 8 math was this year. We're fully implemented there. And then grades 3 through 12 math, that's English language arts. When you see EL, it's English language arts. 13, 14. However, Sumner County jumped out there and we're piloting ELA. We feel like, again, we always want to be competitive. We want to be first in line. We feel like if we can go through the learning curve this year, we'll be better suited when it's fully rolled out. We put together a Common Core team. We have K2 teachers and principals trained. We've been very, very intentional about what we purchase as far as resources. Summer math training for all 3 through 8 teachers. Again, K through 2 is fully implemented. And our orchard benchmarks are fully aligned. We put out parent information to all of our principals to get it out to our parents. You wouldn't believe the calls I get. I actually got a call this past summer from a parent who's very concerned. She said, why can't my child just learn to count on his fingers? This is a 1st grade. And she said, why is he having to solve all these problems? And so it was a very lengthy conversation, but when we got off the phone, she was good. It was all good, and I think she has a new appreciation for where we're moving. District facilitated math PLCs, and we're going to see a picture of that in just a second. And then again, ongoing training. My team and I are involved in a state leadership training right now. We'll take 4 days this spring and go through that. This is how great our teachers are. After working a full day in the classroom, on the feet, and these are teachers that volunteered their time, came in. This was a couple of weeks ago. This is an elementary math PLC where they came in and worked in groups. Ball State actually sent a couple of their teachers and student teachers this past week. We had our follow-up this past week. had so many people, we had to move to 2 or 3 different rooms. So that just, and again, the passion that's there, and how hard our teachers work to do what's right for kids. Again, we had 11 elementary, all middle schools, and 6 high schools piloting ELA coming for this year. We always try to get the best of the best. And so when we were talking about training, we said, who can we get to come talk that's not state level, not district level? Because sometimes our teachers get tired of hearing me talk, or our team talk, or state people talk. So we reached out to Carol Jago, who's one of the writers of the Common Core, and had her come in and talk to our middle school and high school teachers this November. Toughest crowd to sell, and we've got a couple of principals in here, they'll tell you, high school teachers. Second toughest crowd to sell, middle school teachers. So we thought it was very important to hear it from the expert. Keyboarding will continue to be a thorn in our side. If you haven't heard, all testing is going to be online. 5th grade students will be required in one setting to turn out between 3 to 5 pages. 5 pages is exemplary. They really want 3 pages. That's the standard. So think about if you have a 5th grade boy, or if you've ever had boys, think about 5th grade boys having to sit and map out, concept mapped out what they're going to write and do that essay in one sitting. We've developed our own Common Core vocabulary exercise and instructional practices. Our district just purchased the island and put that out to all of our schools. Well, I'll say all of our schools, elementary, middle this year, we all K-12 schools next year. And then again, we're going out and actually sitting with our teachers as they score those writing assignments. High school vision. In April, we went in and talked with our board about moving forward and what we wanted to do. We knew we needed to place some emphasis. It was very critical, and when things are critical, you kind of get on fire for those things. So we started at high school and put together our high school vision. And we said all high school students will have the opportunity to belong to a personalized, smaller learning community, engaged around their interests and personal goals. It'll be project-based, integrated, where meaningful business partnerships are evident. We said, and our board agreed, that we have a plan for post-secondary education and career. Every graduate would have that. At least a 19 composite score on the ACT with the district's average ACT score to be 21. We're going to have to look at raising that because this past year, as you saw, we were 20.5. Now, for those of you, and Lynn can tell you this, it's very difficult to move that ACT score. It's much harder than moving an achievement score, value-added score. So we're excited about being at 20.5. We may need to raise our goal of 21 a little bit higher. We want one course to be completed on the line. We want graduates to have that experience. Why? Anybody know? Absolutely, absolutely. 80% of the programs right now, and as kids continue to graduate, there'll be even more. 80% of college program studies use online course assessments. And again, we developed this whole plan because our board and our leadership said we want our students in Sumner County to lead a competitive edge. We want them to have the edge over other students. So how are we implementing this? We this year mandated that every middle school student would have an online course. Now, we haven't got there yet because if a child's taking band or course, it kind of limits their schedule. But the majority of our middle school students will graduate with an online course. That means they have it on their belt with a teacher standing there making sure they're going to be successful. There will be a teacher in the room with them so that when they go to high school, they've already had that experience. They feel comfortable. They feel good about, branching out there and trying it. We want every graduate to have college credit, technical school credit, and nationally recognized professional certification, or a combination of both. And again, it's about buy-in, it's about giving them a competitive edge. We're tickled to have Ball State right in our back door, and we've got Union right down the street. And so we're looking at building more partnerships with them. Hartsville Pike's been in conversation with us about doing some trade school credit, so we're really excited about our graduates having those opportunities. Access to AP courses and this college credit. I think one of the, I named a while ago saying I was disappointed that we didn't have formative assessments on the high school level. The other thing that I think was a big aha moment for me is realizing that we have high schools that have multiple chances or opportunities for students to take AP courses, but we also had a couple of high schools that didn't have any AP courses. And to me, a rich county like Sumner County, we should have those opportunities in all we said we would make sure that every student, regardless if they attended Westmoreland High School, Hendersonville High School, Station Camp, Portland High School, would have access to AP courses and thus college credit. And one of the ways we did that was through some virtual online courses. And then we made sure that every high school had a trained AP teacher in their building. Access to ACT preparation, again, because the ACT is a life changer. What a student scores on that ACT will mandate whether or not they get into college, if they get into the college of their choice with a program that they're interested in, how much scholarship money, whether or not they even get scholarship money. But I will tell you, having a student who's now a sophomore in college, ACT is a life changer. Again, scholarship, big bucks to be made if you have a high ACT score. So what we knew was parents like my husband and I were sending their kids to ACT prep courses, but not all of our students can afford that. So we said that every high school would have built into their schedule an ACT prep course. And then we went a step forward and, further and purchase ACT prep online access. So they've got a chance for face-to-face instruction and online access. When we looked at the college and career readiness goals, we started talking about focus strands, and this was in the paper. I know Jennifer did a great job covering this. And we put out a survey to all of our community members, our parents, our teachers, our principals. And what they told us is that district-wide, we had several options for them to choose from, is that they wanted STEM. So STEM for the county was the first choice, and so we moved forward with that. We did get some pushback. We talked a little bit about that. We've talked with our school board. We've talked to the county commission. We've talked to Gallatin Economic Group, Portland Economic, anybody that will listen, I've talked. The urgency for change is that, again, we want our students to be globally competitive. We want to prepare them for a 21st century workforce. With the baby boomers retiring, when we know these are not my quotes, these are not Jennifer Brown's words, but we know with our baby boomers getting ready to retire, we don't have enough people to fill those high-skilled, high-wage jobs. And so the number one task for us is getting those students ready for those jobs. Too many high school students today are disconnected. They think school lacks relevance. They don't see the importance. They find school, again, boring and uninteresting, especially among our minority populations. And we've got to give them a time to develop their interests and develop their talents. And one of the ways we're doing that is having discussions with them in the middle school level. That's not to say that they're not going to change their minds, but what are you interested in? Where do you think you're headed? And make sure that we can get them plugged into a focus strand, again, where they can leave with college credit, trade school credit, or a combination of both. It talks about traditional modes of instruction like real-world applications and engagement. And then if we're going to move from an industrial to a knowledge-based society, education emerges as the most important factor in securing financial health and prosperity for both individuals and communities, and that's from the Ford Motor Company. All that comes from the Ford Motor Company. So we took a step back and looked at our learning. We thought our learning in Sumner County needs to be an application of academic knowledge and skills, problem solving, critical thinking, teamwork, communication, creativity, innovation, and global awareness. We want our teaching to be academically rigorous, integration of academic and career-ready, knowledge and skills, inquiry-based, project-based, real-world, performance-based, technology-rich, and career-relevant. We have already started doing some PBL, problem-based learning modules with our middle school and high school teachers to prepare them for that. And you might ask why. Again, at our board meeting and when I presented the Education Committee County Commission, I carried in, there's 12 huge notebooks of research. It wasn't something we just pulled this out of our hat, but we spent hours and hours of researching to make sure what we did was right for Sumner County students. In order for students to be successful, schools must provide those real-world applications. Our parents, communities, you in this room need to be engaged in that student learning. We want to make sure students have the focus so that they don't give up. If they have a focus and a purpose, and again, if we set them on the track, they have buy-in, they see it's possible, and they have a purpose for sitting. How many of you have children they've come home and said, I don't know why we're learning this? Yeah. I mean, I have a daughter. But if they have a purpose and they know where they're headed, then they can see the importance and the relevance of sitting through that class, but maybe it's not their favorite class. The school system should provide you know that if a student attends one semester of a trade school, they're more likely to finish? Because they've started, they're on their way, they say, I can do this, and if we can give that to them on this level, then we're more likely that they're going to graduate. What do our customers value? Our customers are our students. They want real and relevant learning, problem-based, project-based learning. They want to be engaged. They want the competitive edge. They want to focus, and they want to get started in life. What our secondary customers value, and that's all of us in this room, students who are prepared for the workforce, college entrance, and our entrance to a trade school, be a technical school. Consumers, parents, students, and those already in the workforce need better information to connect to education choices. I hear this all the time. We want to help, just tell us how. We want to show up, but you got to tell us when and where. Student competitiveness on global economy, and students who are analytical problem solvers, team players, that's a big one, isn't it? Team players and are motivated. So that's all in a nutshell to get to where we need to talk about today. Ignite Sumner County. Where do industry and businesses come into play? As reported by the National Economic Market Area Study, and this study did include Sumner County, it's a recent study, several industry clusters will continue to have a significant number of various regional workforce opportunities, including high-wage new jobs. These include healthcare services, administration and healthcare, select advanced manufacturing, distribution, and logistics. So we know from our study done here at home that we're getting ready to run out of workers for those jobs. Significant technical skill shortages exist and are predicted to persist in manufacturing, with a shortage of welding and craft skills. Again, post-secondary training education is going to be required, and there are not enough next-generation workers to replace our retiring baby boomers. So the bottom line, that's one slide dedicated to you all. How'd you like that? I got all the top first slides, and you all got one. But the bottom line is we need partnerships, and you need partnerships. So how can you have? We are looking at job shadowing opportunities for 11th and 12th grade students. We have, and I was hoping that some of the guys would be here today. We're already partnering with 3 companies, job shadowing. We've got 6 other companies lined up to want to partner along with us for that. As they move through that job shadowing, we like to set up some internships for our 12th grade students. For the first time, Sumner County's offered honors credit for CTE courses. We did that for several reasons. One, we want to attract the best of the best. Sometimes our best students may be interested in the field, a CTE focus area, but they want more scholarship money or a better resume when they use it, so they want those honors courses. So we make sure that all CTE focus areas will eventually have an honors capstone course. Joint projects, planning among teachers in industry. PBL, I just paid a visit to Clarksville Montgomery schools. They're working with some city leaders and solving a water issue. It's a real issue, it's a real problem the city's been faced with for years. So they've involved students, brought them on board to get involved. Externships for our teachers. We would love to send some of our CTE teachers out for the summer to spend a week or 2 weeks with industry so that they know exactly what's needed, how to design the curriculum, how to teach, what content needs to be taught, and then distance learning opportunities. We need updated equipment and technology to keep pace. We need speakers. We need people to come in and talk with our students. And business support of costs for student certification exams. White House High School has an automotive program. They service all the county vehicles. And if students follow that focus area from start to finish, they'll graduate with a certification ready to go straight to work. But what we're finding, I actually asked Mr. Cordell, I said, why are more students not taking advantage of this? And he said it's the cost for the exam and the certification. So we're looking at maybe starting some scholarship opportunities for those, and then field trip opportunities. I have brought on this table a couple articles that you can pick up. One is on job shadowing, one is on STEM, and then for every high school, there's a focus area. Now again, we are just in the planning stages, next year will be implementation, so we're still developing as we go. We hope to add more focus strands for every high school, but they're out here. For instance, Hendersonville High School is looking at the arts and the water control focus. Station Camp, veterinary science, marketing research, Gallatin High School, health science, agri-science, some engineering, Beach High School, engineering, health science, White House High School, automotive technology, health science, and Portland High School, welding and drafting, and health science. But I've laid out some packets for you. If you're interested at all, I'd love for you to come by and pick up that, and you can see how you can partner with us. All right. I don't think I took a breath. quickest. Now, Jimmy's been through some shorter ones. I laughed and said, Jimmy could come up here and do this presentation. I know he can, but that's very quick. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to take questions at this time. Yes?
Yeah, I was wondering, what is the purpose for our high school to have a certain focus, like you're saying, when we can't choose which high school we want to go to?
Well, here's the situation now. Currently, every high school is different. So if I pull the curriculum for Hendersonville High School, Beach High School, and Station Camp, already there's differences. White House High School has an automotive program that nobody else in the district has. They also have a cosmetology program that nobody in the district has. So it's already set up like that, and it has been for years. What we ask our schools to look at is, where's the need? Look at your classes that are filling up. We're going to have to be very intentional about staffing. So we've said if the classes aren't making, or there's not student interest there, then those are classes that need to go by the wayside. So schools, we ask them, especially when we start this implementation, look what's the need in your system. So some of the schools, even on their own, went out and did an additional survey to see what the interest was and what was needed. Yes, sir.
Jennifer, thank you for a very informative presentation today. Your academic achievement improvement is really commendable, especially when you look at the SCORE annual report that came out today that indicates our per pupil funding is well below the state average, and the percentage of your budget that comes from Sumner County is 36%, whereas other high-achieving school systems are well above 50%. So we're getting a great return on our investment. Thanks for all your hard work.
Well, you're welcome. I will tell you, it's because of our dedicated educators. You saw the pictures of the students, the teachers that were involved, gave them their free evenings, but it's because of our teachers and our principals and their dedication. And Sumner County does a great job of doing a lot with very little. So, again, thank you for allowing me to come and speak and be here with you today.
Very much, Jennifer. I'm going to give you this portfolio here in just a second. We're running a little short on time, so I'm going to ask Amanda Foster to come. I almost said that wrong. To come up. Well, I thought you were introducing them. I'm sorry. So I'm going to introduce them. So JR, is that who's coming up? I don't have that on my list. I'm so sorry. Joseph Charbois is going to come, and JR, and they're going to give us some information about Alexis. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I see we're out of time, so we're going to really make this very short. We just want to thank Sumner County, actually. Out of all the districts that we represent in Middle Tennessee, which is 37027, 37067, 37069 off Williamson County, 37205, 37215 in West Nashville, and then 37075. Sumner County is still, after all of these years, our #2 deepest penetration point. So thank you all very much for being loyal to our brand. We hope we continue to serve you well. This is Mike Bass. He is our general sales manager of our store in Madison, right here. And Joseph Sharpwell works with the chamber a lot in a lot of events in Hendersonville, Gallatin, and the neighboring communities. And he's one of our sales consultants there. Mike Davenport is probably familiar to a lot of people in here. He's the first person that I hired when we opened in 1990. He came to work for us in October of '89. He has been my right and left arm all of these years. So he does a great job. The only thing we want to bring to your attention is we have a new store opening. Lexus Corporate knew that we needed to relocate our store in Madison. And we talked to them about a store in Hendersonville or a store in Nashville. There's never been a store in Nashville, and because of the concentration of population, that's where we were required to put it. But we insisted on being on the north side of Nashville. So the new store will be opening in October, around October 1st of this year. It's at I-65 and Rosa Parks, right on the bluff. So when you're headed south on the north loop of I-65, if you exit, you immediately turn right into the dealership. So it should be very easy for you guys from up here. And it's a state-of-the-art building. It's 4 times the size of our original store in Madison and much larger than our store in Williamson County. And it has a great cafe and all kinds of amenities for our customers. So we'll look forward to seeing you all there. And thank you for letting us be part of what you do. beautiful weather and get a convertible, or you can, has everybody got a card in here? So you get a convertible, or if you got a really special night out for a ball or something, you want a big car, you can have that, whatever. So, somebody comes to try me. Is your car in here? Gina Scott. Where is she? Well, come on up here. Get it. Otherwise, somebody else will get it. Here you go. Thank you all very much.
We are running short on time, but we want to say thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful day. How about the weather? That's a wonderful change. I'm sure it'll be snowing tomorrow, but today is very nice. We do want to remind you, I'm not going to go through all of our upcoming events, so be sure and read that fancy e-newsletter you get on Wednesdays. To check that out, I was going to do a presentation on the new Chamber app, but Lynn stole my thunder, of course. No, I'm glad that he had a chance to do it, but do download the app, start using that. And then if you've not signed up for the business showcase, please plan on doing that. Good Pasture Christian School is our presenting sponsor. It's going to be February 21st here at Bluegrass from 5 until 7 p.m. Tabletop displays are available. You can see Cassie for more information, or you can register online. And if you're not going to do a booth, please plan on being here with us that evening. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month.